Assalamu alaikum students, me Humaira Khurshid with your lecture Characteristics of Spoken and Written Language. It's the second lecture of the same topic that was discussed earlier by the heading or under the heading Differences between Spoken and Written Language. Now I'm going to discuss explicitly some of the features or the we may say linguistic operators that we come across when we use written or when we use spoken language. Let's have a look at the salient feature or characteristics of spoken language first. Is non-standard grammar and grammatical mistakes, including concord errors, he don't listen, he doesn't listen, and pronoun mistakes. Me friend is rich, my friend is, instead of my friend is rich. Yes, these are the important feature of spoken language. क्या है your grammar would be non-standard. Standard mean the accurate variety or version of any language. So here the language may be fluent in spoken form, but it may necessarily not be accurate at the level of spoken expression. The grammatical errors may be there, and secondly, concordance of the subject and verb would be missing. Pronoun errors would be surely there. And secondly, the use of dialect and social act as opposed to the standard English. You would have a detailed discussion on the topics like social act or dialect or idiolect in social linguistics. So far, it's enough to say that in spoken form of language, people most of the time preferably use individually distinguished language rather than the standard form of language. Standard mean the variety that is used in educational institutions, the variety that is used in news media, or the variety that is accepted by the educated elite as the accurate form. As far English is considered, mm, the language that is being used in the educational institutions of London or in the news media like BBC is usually considered to be the standard variety, and all the other forms of language that are being spoken in different regions, having regional influences in the accent, in the pronunciation, and geographical impressions or imprints are called dialects. And the language that that has influence of social class or working class or education group, or we may say the economic class to which the speaker belong, is usually used, is called dialect, and it is mostly used in spoken form. On the other hand, written form prefers the standard variety of English. Thirdly, there would be greater or higher use of swear words and slangs, informal and colloquial language rather than formal and literary language. Yes, again, informal language means away from the standard of accuracy, and colloquial mean day to day expressions rather than the learned expressions, and the literary language mean the prestigious use of language. For example, one that is used by the literary persons, or closer to the one that is used by the literary persons. The spoken language is far away from all these features. And fifthly, there would be contractions. Contractions mean short forms. For example, I have heard about it, I have already heard about it, would be contracted as I have heard about it. Use of fillers, yes, there would be, whenever there would be some deficiency in fluency, the gap would be filler with certain acoustic expressions like ah, ooh, etc. And these are called fillers that fill the gap. Meanwhile, the speaker organizes his speech. So it is, these are called fillers. And then there would be incomplete sentence structures in the spoken language, and that in some incomplete structures indicate that the context is already clear or for granted for the listener, and the rest of the sentences would be understood for him, even if it is not declared explicitly. For example, it was like, I was talking a walk. Yes, here the first structure is incomplete, and the next feature of spoken language is the use of intensifier. For example, totally, cool, awesome, really, sweet, nicely, highly. All the intensifiers would be excessively used in the spoken language. Then there would be discourse markers like well, oh, like, of course, yeah, right, oh. Discourse markers have different functions, but some of the most common functions are to check the listeners are paying attention. So, for this purpose, the discourse marker would be used. You follow me, right? To mark the beginning of a new topic. And the discourse markers, like, anyway, I was going to tell you the story, to mark the information that is new to the con- conversation. Oh, really? I didn't know it. So this sort of discourse markers are very common in the spoken form of language, and they are rare in the written language. Okay, the next features that we are going to have a look are the incomplete sentence structure. We have already discussed it. Then the use of the intensifiers has already been discussed, and then we have already talked about the discourse markers. To check if the listener pays attention, discourse markers like you follow me, right? Such sort of discourse markers are used to mark the beginning of new topic. Yes, discourse markers are also used to indicate that a new topic is going to start. Anyway, I was going to tell you this story, to mark information that is new to the conversation. Oh, really, I didn't know. To appeal for understanding or to show solidarity. It has been a tough time, yeah. I know what you are going through. Then there would be general extenders, and these extenders are the words that just fill the gap. They communicate no specific meaning or sense. They are just used in order to enhance the communication. If we want to see the examples of such words, they would be stuff and things or something and all that. These sort of words are used in order to extend the communication. Phrases that extend the meaning of an utterance but in a vague manner. I was really tired and stuff. Here, the I was really tired was enough to communicate the sense, and the second part was added just in order to extend the impression. And another feature of spoken language would be the use of ellipses. Ellipses means the omission of a part of sentence. You going to do that. Here the verb are is missing. In writing it, or in written form, it would be, are you going to do that? And the next feature is pronouns such as I, you, referring to the speaker and listener. And words like here, now, this, and that are often used. So we can say that there would be higher use of personal pronouns in the spoken form of language, while in the written form of language there would be higher use of the nouns instead of pronouns. Again, you are going to do an activity. You have to take a chunk of language, almost of 20 minutes, and find all the features discussed so far in today's lecture, and map or tag the relevant ideas in that linguistic chunk. Yes, another feature that is important to spoken language is negotiation of topic. It is very important in the spoken form of language, and it is usually announced by initially using fillers like yes, but, anyway, right, then. And what is more important is that the interlocutors or the persons involved in communication get an immediate feedback with it. And another feature of spoken language is that sentence boundaries are at best unclear, though intonation and pause patterns divide long discourse into more manageable chunks. Still, the boundaries are not clear as it is in the written form, because in the written form there would be commas to indicate the minor boundaries, there would be semicolons, there would be colons, and then there would be sentence.